Hello, welcome to the first Amulet video of 2023, and we're going to be starting things strong with one of my favorite versions of Amulet, that is Reclaimer Amulet, of course. We're going to have some sweet value, some access to tutor lands at instant speed, and some very cool and unique play patterns that are specific to this deck list and specific to Elvish Reclaimer. So, this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be playing some Reclaimers, some Graces, of course, Amulet, Dryad, Primeval Titan, the Singleton, Cultivator, Colossus, Summoner's Pack. The unique thing about this deck list is that we're not playing any Flagstones of Trocaire, so Reclaimer can't actually ramp by itself unless we have access to multiple amulets. But what Reclaimer can do, of course, is find multiple sagas, which find multiple amulets, and then suck those sagas with the third chapter on the stack in order to find bounce lands and net more mana. And because the saga pops on the main phase, that means that the bounce lands that we get off of the Reclaimer activation are actually going to give us mana that is relevant. So that's going to be a very interesting play pattern, and it's going to be very different and more unique. You know, like the new play patterns really make things exciting for a seasoned Amulet player like myself, hopefully like yourself as well. So I always very highly recommend this kind of versions of the deck because I just think they're a lot of fun. In the sideboard, we have some generic cards, so Dismembers, Force for Vigor, Endurance, a couple of copies of Tireless Tracker. I've been kind of high on Tireless Tracker lately in the modern format, so 2 copies have found their way into all of my Amulet sideboards at this time. So yeah, definitely very good against Cam, very good versus like mid-range decks, like soup decks of sort. So very cool card at this point in time. Couple of Engineering Explosives, 1 Relic of Progenitus, Radiant Fountain, Kindly Garden, and Boseiju. All 3 of these, of course, are going to be very useful whenever we're cutting sagas or whenever we want to optimize our deck for specific matchups. So very straight ahead list overall, if it weren't for the fact that we're playing Elvish Reclaimer, of course. That's going to be it for the deck tech. Nothing too crazy going on here, but if you would like to support the stream, you can do so in a variety of different ways. The free ways are to just hit that like and subscribe button. Costs you nothing, helps people find the channel. You can also support the stream for free whenever you use the deck list, the links on the description of the video for TCG Player and Mana Traders. Whenever you just use those links and use their service, you're supporting the stream at no extra cost to you. You can also find a 10% discount code for Mana Traders as well in there. And if you would like to support the stream directly, you can do so with Patreon, with donations, any donation of $30 or more, and I will play any deck list of your choosing on a video. And finally, of course, you can book coaching sessions with me, which I can hopefully help you take your gaming to the next level. That's it. Let's play some Modern with Reclaimer Amulet. Here we are for round number 1, and this hand is a trap, so let's ship it. This hand is much better. Still very awkward hand, but just having access to the Amulet unclunks or declunks, or however you're supposed to say that, the hand a fair amount. I think I'm gonna bottom the Stronghold because I want the Stronghold to be in my deck more than I want the Sandhome to be in my deck. And we can go turn 1 Amulet and pass the turn. We definitely want to be finding some lands, but as is, we are, I think, 1 mana short of playing Primeval Titan. So Gracer, yeah, Gracer would be enough. And obviously second Amulet just actually wins the game straight up. So lots of very good draws from this spot. Turn 1 Ursa Saga for opponent. Into Pyrite Spellbomb. Okay. Azusa, Gracer, Reclaimer. Okay. Well, I'm gonna play it out, and I guess I'm gonna trade for this Pyrite Spellbomb and my opponent's turn. So there's Reclaimer, and yep, just passing the turn back. Again, and Azusa wins the game. What else? Azusa wins, Gracer wins. We actually have a pretty significant amount of draws that win the game from here. There's the Mountain. I imagine my opponent's going to kill this Reclaimer, which is kind of good for me in a way. And they do nothing else. This has to be good for me, right? Okay, there's a land, which I'm going to play out. Do I want a Gracer here? No, I don't. I definitely don't. So now we can actually prime time next turn. So we're gonna go Gracer off of this basic forest, play Growth Chamber, another Growth Chamber, and then we're just gonna pack for Gracer number 2. And that's gonna be +1 mana. We can also pack for Azusa if my opponent taps out, so we have some options. Hayward might, okay. Do you have the green mana? They do, okay. So that gets rid of the Amulet, okay. So they do get rid of my Amulet, which is not great. But again, I have access to a pretty significant amount of good draws here. Also, my opponent's doing nothing over there. Them doing nothing is good for me. So that's a bounce land, so what that's gonna mean is I'm going to go Gracer, play bounce land, bounce this. Now the question is, do I want to replay this forest or do I want to play Celestia Sanctuary? I think I want to replay the forest because I can play everything that I want if I find anything else, and if I find an Amulet, by holding onto this bounce land I can actually immediately play Primeval Titan. So because I can play Amulet, then pack for Azusa, cast Azusa, play 3 lands, and that's 6 mana for prime time. Opponent plays Renin 6. Okay. They get back Saga. Strong. But they don't play Saga. Okay, so they're just gonna Inquisition me or like Thoughtseize me or whatever. Or not. They just play Monkey? Really? Spend your turn playing Monkey instead of Saga? I mean, I'll take it, but it's a little bit confusing. Okay, so I'm not packing for anything because my opponent showed me black mana, so I'm thinking that they may have access to something like Thoughtseize or whatever, and I, of course, want to make sure that I have access to multiple Primeval Titans in hand. I will block your Ragavan. Thank you very much. If my opponent wants to minus their Renin 6 to get rid of Monkey, that's a deal I'm willing to make. Yep, that sounds good. So now opponent's gonna have... what is it? They're pretty far away from Unholy Heat, so here's a 6/6. Here's a 6/6. Can you beat this one? And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get Valakut and Ursa Saga. So now if they do answer my Primeval Titan, I can still pact for Dryad. What is this? 3 mana. Really? Riveteer's Charm. You got it, champ. Alright, that's not a card I was expecting to see there. That's cool, that's cool. Okay, so now we can draw... We're gonna take a hit from this Monkey, which is kind of fine. The good thing is that there are not that many cards that my opponent can get good use out of from Ragavan, so... Oh wow, the Exile Slayer Stronghold, that sucks. Damn this Monkey. Alright, so I can't haste anymore this game, which makes things a little bit awkward. This Renin 6 is not really getting any value at all. And now I can pact for another Titan. Didn't draw anything. But we're going to be able to make a Saga token. We can Colossus here. If we Colossus, we draw... Yeah, I think we want a Colossus. With 3 cards, we're not netting any mana, but I think that this is better than Prime Time. I mean, that's just never true, though. Okay, maybe this is better than Prime Time. I'm gonna name Giant here. Okay. Yeah, okay, that was not the worst. It was also not the best either. But the fact that we didn't use our mana just yet is kind of good. So we're going to bounce one of these bounce lands. And then I'm going to bounce Tolaria West here. So we can go play Amulet, play Reclaimer. We can actually also play Azusa as well. So let's play Amulet. Let's play a bounce land. Let's bounce this over here. Play Azusa. Play another bounce land. We can also transmute if we want to. I think I do want to. And now we can transmute for Summoner's Pact and play Reclaimer. Now we can pass the turn with a sizable board state. I think we can call this a sizable board state. Opponent makes a construct. Impressive. Impressive. Engineered Explosives looking very, very good in this matchup. Opponent Saga is popping off. I don't think it really matters, because my Saga is going to be popping off next turn, and my Saga is probably a lot better than my opponent's. Again, we cannot haste, so that's a little bit on the awkward side of things. But double striking this Cultivator Colossus, I think it's going to be doing some damage, so I'm not too afraid. Is there anything that I want to get an upkeep with Reclaimer? Opponent gets Needle off of the Saga. Let's see what they name. They're going to name Sunhome, probably, because otherwise they're just kind of dead to this Colossus. They name Reclaimer. Okay. That means I get to double strike this Cultivator Colossus. Alright. You got some big boys over there. But they don't have... with them plusing Ren and 6 there, now they don't have access to Unholy Heat. I mean, you know, an actual Delirious Unholy Heat is what I mean. So here we pay for upkeep. What we could do is we could just pact for Dryad. So yeah, we get Expedition Map here. We pact for Dryad. And then we just map for second Valakut. And that should be lethal, I think. So Summoner's Pact. I mean, that's very much lethal. Let me rephrase that. That's actually very, very much lethal. So Expedition Map, second Valakut. We're gonna stop properly. Play Dryad. Play Valakut. Valakut face. Always yes, always yes, always yield. Play another land. Face you a bunch. And play another land. That should be the game. Alright, so we win game 1. Jund Saga. So we definitely want explosives. We probably want trackers. Bossage is fine. Relic is fine. I think we actually do... Reclaimer is in a weird spot where it's very, very good if it survives, but the likelihood of it surviving is pretty damn low. Endurance is also in a weird spot where it's great to pressure Ren and 6. It's very good against Ragavan, but then it may be good or not. It's pretty hit or miss versus cards like Tarmogoyf. So Endurance is kind of in an interesting spot. It's good versus specifically Unholy Heat, so that's something to keep in mind. I do think I want to cut a couple of Sagas because I expect my opponent to have access to Alpine Moons and things like that. I still want to have access to a couple of them, but I don't think I want the full 4. I think I'm going to cut 2 Reclaimers at least. Cultivator was good there, but it's not going to be good every time. I probably want to leave it in case my opponent's playing some sort of Necromantia style effect. I think I want to cut Expedition Map, maybe 1 Amulet, and what's the last cut? I guess the second Endurance. There's an argument for Force of Vigor. I don't think that's where I want to go. I definitely want to upgrade, though, the Cavern of Souls into Bossage. And I think that's it. Alright, what do we got here? Yeah, okay. Like, this hand is not insane by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got something going for it. Okay, now this hand's great. I'm definitely going to go turn 1 Reclaimer. My opponent could have removal for this. Don't really care that much. If the Reclaimer dies, it's fine. And if I do get to untap with it, then obviously we're cooking. But Thoughtseize, you got me. So I imagine this is going to take Summoner's Pact. They take Endurance? Interesting. Okay. Huh. Wow. Yeah. Let's play an Amulet. It's a good draw. And let's play Sanctuary. And with this trigger on the stack, I think I want to sack the Forest. And we're going to get Tolaria West. So this puts the T-West in my hand. And develops my mana nicely. So Amulet was obviously a pretty good draw there. I was going to say maybe they cybered it into Magus of the Moon or something crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they can really... Ha! They do have Necromantia effects. Okay. So that means we're going to have to find other ways to win besides Primeval Titan, which is doable because I'm smart and I brought in stuff like, what's his name? Tile Tracker and Cultivator Colossus. They named Valakut? No way! Really? Yeah, that's a mistake. That is very, very much a mistake. That is very, very much a mistake. You are 100% supposed to name Primeval Titan there, and it's not close. Okay. So, let's play Boseiju. Get in there with Zombie Token. And I think that I'm going to be turning this Boseiju into an Ursa Saga, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, I guess Ursa Saga doesn't work because my opponent has access to Hayward Might. Oh well, but then the Might is gonna hit the Amulet, so no, I definitely want to do that. Bolt, yeah, that's not how that's not gonna work out well for you. Yeah, let's find Ursa Saga. Again, my opponent can blow me out with an Alpine Moon here. I think that's fine. It's not super big deal because my opponent's just not doing anything themselves, so. If they were also pressuring me here, that would be problematic. Oh, really? Just to get an attack with Ragavan? And that's not a good exchange, opponent. Like, Bolt could have answered Azusa. Opponent exiled the Boseiju, which is fine, I don't care. Still have one more in the deck if I need it. Another Ursa Saga. I think I'm just gonna play out this Soulherder West and pass the turn. And I'm going to attack with this zombie. The truth of the matter is I don't need to do anything here. I'm so far ahead. Opponent makes a construct, which is perfectly fine. I'm gonna let this resolve. I know they can needle Elvish Reclaimer, but if they needle Reclaimer, I can always just make a construct, which is fine. They can get Hayward Might, which gets rid of Amulet, but then I just have another Amulet just chilling here. So I don't think there's anything that my opponent can do that I care about at all. That's a Goif. Another hand is Ragavan plus Unknown. Let's see what they target. They do target the Amulet, which is fine. So I guess I do want to, if I want to activate Reclaimer, it has to be now. What do I want to get? If I activate Reclaimer, I can sack this T-West. I think I want to sack the Soulherder West to go get potentially. I guess I can't get another Saga, my bad. I could Vesuva my Saga. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm into it. Vesuva my Saga. So this game turned out playing out in a way that I was not expecting, which makes my game plan, like my sideboarding game plan, not very, like, I'm trying to pivot on my own sideboarding game plan. So like obviously like the Sagas are great here because of how this game played out, which otherwise I wouldn't consider to be particularly great. And obviously we're not gonna activate Reclaimer there to save the Saga because I'd rather use my mana to cast Primeval Titan and win the game instead. So play Primetime. Say yes. Garrison Stronghold. There's no Valakuts, but it doesn't matter whatsoever. Bounce this, move to combat, and I think it's better. In my graveyard I have creature, land, enchantment. So it's much better. Yeah, it's much better to exile their graveyard than mine. That's gonna make the Goif smaller. So Bojuka Bog, and I guess go you. Now they can't even block. Yep, opponent concedes. 1-0. Alright, cool. This hand is very interesting. So we can go Cavern on Elf. I mean, I'm keeping this hand. It's just a matter of how I sequence things, and the order in which I play my stuff. So let's see what we draw first. A Valakut. So I can go turn 1. If I go turn 1 Amulet, that means on turn 2 I can go Dryad plus Valakut into Reclaimer. So that seems better. So let's go turn 1 Cavern on what? Beast. I'm gonna go for Beast because it helps me cast my triple green card. So if my opponent goes and they find like Hayward Might or like whatever answer to Amulet, then that's gonna be a problem for me. Ooh, alright. Some Abzan action over there. Predicted always plays some form of creature combo. So They're very good at playing Yawgmoth, for example, so they may be on Yawgmoth right now. This kind of suggests that. All right, so we do find a bounce land. I think I'm still gonna go for that plan. So now we bounce here, play Dryad, and I think I want to play Valakut. And we're going to play Reclaimer. Take go. Unfortunately, Reclaimer cannot ramp me, and here I imagine this Grist is gonna kill my Dryad, so that's bad for me. If I do find a Sousa, I'm gonna be in good shape though. Second Dryad is nice. So let's think about what we can achieve here. 1, 2, 3 mana. I can play a land, turn this Cavern into a Saga. This Cultivator is not looking super hot here. If I play another Dryad though, I kind of force my opponent to crack the Grist. And I can always like turn one of my lands into another bounce land to make Cultivator better. I think I actually made a mistake and I should have, on my the extra land on the previous turn should have been the Cavern, so on my own upkeep I can sack my Cavern to go get Saga. But I don't think I want to expose the Dryad to the Grist. So I'm up to 5 mana, 6 mana thanks to this Gracer. So I think what I want to do is I want to just play out this Cavern of Souls on Beast and just say go. Because next turn I can Colossus. And again, I'm going to be turning this Cavern of Souls into an Ursa Saga, I think. Opponent plays a land. So they can both Yawg and kill everything. And if they kill my Reclaimer, they can't kill my Dryad, which is good. Interesting. So they play land already. So I can force the issue. I think I'm just going to take it. I'm going to force my opponent to spend 2 creatures in order to kill this Reclaimer. If they want to do that. Okay. Alright. Opponent does respect the Reclaimer. Oops! Misclicked. Damn it! Damn it, that really sucks. That's so bad for me. Ugh. That's really, really bad for me. Okay, so I misclicked there. I was expecting my opponent to reset the Strangleroot Geist, so that's why I was like, oh yeah, this is fine. We can just take this, and then, but then they just didn't do that. So I kind of got. So if I go Dryad, play land, they can't kill my Dryad, and I just go, yeah, I think this is fine. So play bounce land, float mana, bounce, play Dryad, make extra mana. It's up to 5. Now we Gracer. It's up to 6. Make some manas here. That's 6 mana. Bounce that. Pact. Prime time. Cast prime time. Maybe I should have bound the Cavernous. I should have bounced the Cavernous. And this is lethal attack. Alright, so Yawgmoth. Dismembers. We like Dismembers. Relic. We like Relic. Besides that, I have to play around Necromantia. My opponent showed me white mana with that Temple Garden, so I'm not going to assume that they have Magus. I am, however, going to assume that they have some form of like Necromantia effect going on. So because of that, I want to have access to Cultivator, even though I don't actually think it's a great card. So I can cut a couple of Cavern of Souls. I think I want to keep Bojuka Bog. I'm limiting my turn 1 green sources though. Like right now I have not super many. I have 10. The 2 caverns give me up to 13. So I think I want to at least bring in the extra Boseiju. And that would be 32 lands. That seems okay. Ursa Saga does get blown out by Force of Negation, but it's fine. I think I'm going to cut 2 Gracers because my opponent's not going to have great answers to Reclaimer. And maybe a Primeval Titan? There's no way I'm cutting a Primeval Titan. I don't want to cut Expedition Map because Map finds me Valakut, which is my B plan in the face of Necromantia. So I think I'm going to cut a Reclaimer, actually. I think I'm going to cut a Reclaimer there. Maybe I should be cutting all of the Reclaimers and just try to go for the other game plan. Okay, yeah, we're keeping this, and I'm going to go turn 1 Gracer into Saga, I think. That's a Vial. Oh, that's right. Predicting loves Aether Vial in their lists. Second Dryad. Yeah, I think we're doing Gracer into Saga here. Speeds up the clock, puts a bunch of pressure and starts to push my advantage. Green-black for Wall of Roots. 2 basics. Maybe I should be a little bit more scared of... Maybe I should be a little bit more scared of Magus of the Moon than I am. We'll find out soon enough. Alright. Is it 4-color Yawgmoth on the other side? Is it 4-color Yawgmoth? Okay, second Wall of Roots is acceptable. And the passing of the turn. No double black for Necromentia. We could be facing Force of Vigor, however. So we do sort of have to watch out for that. Oh, it is a Chord. Chord for 1. Is this going to be Haywire Might? It is Haywire Might. So I think we're going to just make a construct here, because we're not going to be using the mana otherwise. And pass the turn. That's good. We got a Chord out of my opponent's hand, though. But yeah, Haywire Might is kind of a banger. Like, alongside the Wall of Roots, that looked very, very good. That was a very strong turn for my opponent. Super, super strong turn. And that Aether Vial sticking up. Ever threatening Aether Vial. Okay. So I'm just gonna play this Reclaimer and say go. I don't really want to play this Dryad into a potential Force of Vigor. Okay. Opponent Vials in a Geist. And now they Yawg. They do Yawg. Okay. So I'm dead if they have the combo. Vial looked very good this game. Vial looked very, very good this game. Okay, that's a Young Wolf, and now I lose. Alright. Very, very good showing for the card Aether Vial. Game number 3. Reclaimer just looks a little bit too slow, unfortunately. As much as I love the card, this is definitely not the matchup for it. Do I want to Endurance? I think so. Alternatively, I could Engineer the Explosives. Maybe Explosives is fine. Just a singleton Engineered Explosives. Alright, so, I mean, I'm not gonna pass up on a turn to kill, right? If they have Force of Vigor, I get destroyed. But they have exactly 1 turn to have the Force of Vigor, otherwise we just win the game. So, I'm not gonna be passing this up. That's not a Force. Don't Thoughts is me. Oh, Vial's fine. Ooh, okay. Yeah, this is good. This is pretty good. Okay, so now we do this. Float mana, play Dryad, float mana. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 mana. Play a Gracer, and now put Valak into play. And we just had the absolute nutter butters here. Ooh, baby. Oh, you love to see it. So now we can go Stronghold plus Vestige. All right, that was a strong start. 2-0. That's how you beat Yawgmoth. You just have to have a turn 2 kill. Nice and easy. Okay, what are we looking at here? Turn 1 Gracer. So this hand needs a bounce land and it just wins. So I'm going to keep. We are looking at 9 bounce lands that we can draw because the Boros Garrison also counts because we already have double green. So if we find a bounce land, we're gonna be winning the game pretty quickly. We also can get value with Saga along the way if we want to. Opponent keeps 7, and we're gonna go turn 1 Gracer into Ursa. Play the Saga, pass it back. This Gamma is gonna name Giant, and that's gonna give me enough green mana to cast the Primeval Titan if I need to. Opponent goes Windswept Heath, fetch 4 basic planes into Esper Sentinel. Okay, so we're probably facing Hammer. And that's not the worst draw there. I think I'm just going to play out the Saga here, and I'm just going to go Dryad into land, into Cavernon Giant, and pass the turn back. I don't think the construct is going to matter, not in this matchup. And this puts more mana in play. And the Dryad in play, both things which can be quite relevant next turn. And if I can't win this coming turn, I'm going to be winning on the following one. So I just have to make sure I don't randomly die to a flurry of equipments thrown on this Esper Sentinel. That's a Sigarda Sade, and then Ursa Saga. All right, block. They do have the hammer. Okay, I'm blocking here because I don't want to get blown out by Shadow Spear next turn. So this turn they actually can't do anything about it, right? We also did just find the We did just find the bounce line we were missing, so now this is going to be game. Find an Amulet, play my land, bounce, play my Asusa, make some land drops over here. This is 4, 5, 6. You may draw a card, opponent. You may draw a card. Here's prime time. Get Valakut, Stronghold, untap, red, white, haste prime time, combat, attack, say yes, Valakut, Vesuva, save targets, yes. Pew, 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 opponent. Pew, pew, pew. Alright, sideboarding. Boom. Get the good cards in there. All of the good cards. Cut the bad ones. So Cultivator out. Bujugabog out. Radiant Fountain is questionable. We can cut 2 Reclaimers. I personally don't really like this member in this matchup. I know of some people that want it, but you have a very small window where this member is good, and after that, it's just literally a dead draw. So instead of having dead draws, I'd rather just have the cards that enact my game plan, which can overwhelm my opponent's game plan, or just like absolutely astounding sideboard cards. So I try to make sure that I don't have high risk cards, I guess, or like potential clunkers, to call them somehow. Radiant Fountain is interesting though. Radiant Fountain is sometimes it can just straight up buy a turn, and sometimes it's just bad. So it's kind of a hit or miss card, but I could see if you want to try it out. But okay, keep this. Pretty good interaction. I also really like the fact that this hand allows me to just, you know, play a slow game. So play Growth Chamber, and I'm just gonna sandbag this Engineered Explosive for so long. I'm just gonna sandbag this explosive for such a crazy long time. Okay, that's kind of rough. The fact that they have a 1 on a 2-drop. But yeah, but this Grace is gonna be doing some blocking. It's gonna be slowing my opponent down a fair amount. Well, that's good. That's real good. I still think that I'm going to be casting these explosives on X equals 1. So the question now is, what do I want to play around? Because I could use this Force of Vigor. I can just throw this Gracer as another blocker. Or I could save this Gracer for a card to pitch to Force to play around Spell Pierce. I think I like that. So I'm just going to pass the turn back here. Don't need to show these Engineered Explosives. This Paladin sounds threatening, but Engineered Explosives on 1 is just going to be much, much better than playing on 2. Sure, my opponent gets to draw cards whenever they play equipment, but they are not going to have infinite hammers, right? We're just going to grind them down eventually. Alright, Windsweep Heath fetch. Find basic plane. Yep, Gracer's blocking. Under the bus you go, Gracer. You got a hammer, opponent. Get to draw a card. That's fine. Gracer down. And I think we just untap here. Garrison is not a great draw. What I can do here is I can play Amulet. I think this is going to be the turn where I just play explosives for 1, I think. I'm going to Cavern on Giant. And I think this is the turn where I explosives for 1. Opponent can pierce this. Oh, there's also Mana Leak. They could also Mana Leak it. They just let it go. Okay, that's fine. So now we untap. They don't use their mana efficiently, which is good for me. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take 12 and then Stoneforge. Okay, that's fine. I think I'm just going to take 12 and crack explosives on the end step. Opponent probably... Oh, they find another hammer. Interesting. Okay. I take 12 here. And now I crack these explosives on end step. Okay. They save a hammer. Boseiju. Alright, so... Let's make sure I count my mana. So I can go play Amulet. I guess we're going to play Amulet, then play Gracer. That means I'm going to have access to 5 mana total, which means I cannot Boseiju plus Force. But it's fine because I can just block here. So I think that's fine. So Amulet. We do kind of get owned by Spell Pierce, however. Play Bounce Land. Can I play around Spell Pierce? I mean, I can if I don't play out the Gracer. But I kind of do want to play the Gracer out because it makes things awkward on my opponent. And my opponent's going to be forced to do stuff main phase. So they can play the Hammer, but they don't have the thing yet. They don't have Metalcraft, so they can't equip just yet. Play land. And another Hammer. Jesus. Okay. Would love to find... Okay, so now with that on the stack, that's where we're going to force. And we lose to Spell Pierce here because my opponent can just stood up both things separately. So I guess actually what I should have done is I should have done that in response to the draw trigger, because I could have they could have drawn into the Spell Pierce. Okay, so there's Stoneforge, and they're gonna find the last Hammer, but they're not gonna have Metalcraft to equip. Unless they find... So we lose to exactly Ornithopter, I guess. Or like to any 0-drop here. Now Gracer blocks. We can find Primeval Titan, win on the spot. Second Boseiju, I guess, is not awful. So I'm just gonna do this now. While I know that they don't have skill. So now they're out of hammers. We just blew them all out. And we just have to... Yeah, I think I just hold on to the bounce land here. We just have to not lose. Funny enough, they can just hardcast Kaldra here. Although if they have Kaldra, it's probably better for them to Stoneforge it. Nettle Cyst. Okay. Giver. That's fine. Would really be awesome to find a Primeval Titan. That's a force. I can play around Mana Leak specifically if I play out this Boros Garrison. I guess seems worth it. So now we're going to be taking 3 next turn. Springleaf Drum. Nexus. Nexus doesn't really do anything. But I am just losing to the random beats, though. So let's block here. And here's a force to blow both of those up. Hope it resolves, because otherwise I lose. Good. So now we take 3 down to 2. And this is, again, like a game where Radiant Fountain will be kind of decent. Yep. Radiant Fountain would have been decent. Yeah, unfortunate. Just never found the prime time. Okay, so changes. I don't think so. Maybe Colony Garden is okay. Colony seems potentially decent over a Cavern. But I think that's really all that I want. Again, I don't think I want Dismember. Obviously, Dismember would have been very good in that particular game, the way things played out, because we found multiple forces and engineer explosives and Bossages and whatnot. So obviously it would have been fine there, but I mean, even towards the end, it wouldn't have done anything, right? Because I would have needed to pay for. So game 3 on the play, and wow, what an interesting hand. Huh. So what I can do here, I mean, I think I'm keeping this hand, and what I can do here is I can go Gracer into Colony Garden. And then on turn 2, I go, if I find a land, I can go Azusa into Reclaimer. If I don't, yeah, I think this is, like, weirdly enough, I think this is gonna work out. I don't want to play out the Saga just yet, which is funny, kind of interesting. But yeah, an interesting kind of hand. So play Saga. Play Azusa, play Cavern on Elf, play Reclaimer. So now Reclaimer is going to help me hit my land drops, which is very nice. We also have access to Force of Vigor. We can even use Reclaimer to like get bounce lands and start spitting out 0/1 tokens. Block. Just passing on the turn, straight up. Wow. Okay. So sack this. I mean, I'd rather get a 1/1 than a 0/1, so I'm just gonna go for that. Growth Chamber, Bounce Forest, Reclaimer doing some good work here. This March? Wow. Okay. That's fine. I'm not crazy upset by that. Like I would rather that not have happened, but I'm not crazy upset that my opponent just passed the turn and did nothing, right? I will take as many turns of my opponent doing nothing as they're willing to give me. Pitching Core Outfitter. Alright, so my opponent is on the March plan over there. Okay. Bounce this. Replay. And now we have one of our best interactive spells versus my opponent on 1-lander, and we have a lot of blockers. Opponent continues to miss their land drop. Swing for 1. Gonna play a Amulet just because I can. There's just more stuff on the board that if my opponent wants to march this Amulet, I'm all for it. Holy, what appears this? Don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. I'll take my 2-for-1 Amulet. You got a Paladin. That's not great. I'm just gonna sit on that for a minute. I really need to find the Primeval Titan now. But Tolaria West counts. Tolaria West most definitely counts. So I'm gonna sit on this Vestige because that is my blue mana to transmute. There's a Saga. So my opponent's short on mana. So I think I'm actually gonna force right here. Killing the Sentinel doesn't really do anything. But killing the land is a big deal before they get to tap it for mana. And if they have Mana Leak, they could have had Mana Leak so far, and they didn't show me Mana Leak before in two games. So I'm just not going to play around. And I'm going to play around Piers, of course, but not going to play around Mana Leak there. There's a Hammer. Without Metalcraft, it doesn't do too much. But now my opponent definitely has a clock going on. So I can just sit here for way too long. I do have a couple of turns before this kills me, but maybe just one turn before this kills me. Okay, that's a Reclaimer, which by itself doesn't do it, but with the help of a bounce land, it does give me Primeval Titan. Wow, alright, so I guess I'm just gonna lose to this single Pure Steel Paladin. Maybe I should have just waited for a little bit. So this blocks. This brings me down to 1. If I find fetch land, that doesn't really do anything, so this is fine. Actually, I'm not going to have another turn, so let's block like this, go to 2 instead of 1. They have Path to Exile. Brutal. Wow. So I guess if I had blocked with Azusa as well, I could have survived. But I think I needed the Azusa in order to prime time. 2 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I needed the Azusa to Primeval Titan, so I think that this block was fine. Come on, dude. That's brutal. Alright, 2-1. Super interesting hand. Love it. Keep it. I think I want to go turn 1 Amulet to play around discard spells. Or like Spell Pierce or whatever. And I'm on the play, so turn 1 Amulet seems like the better thing to do. We're not living in a prismatic ending world anymore. In before I just get prismatic ending here, but so here's a land. This Gracer represents plus 1 mana next turn, so I'm just going to hold on to it. But here's a Dryad, and here's a Cavern Giant. How's the turn? Opponent gets, what is this? Spara's Headquarters. So some form of control deck, I guess? Wall of Awesomes. Alright, so I have to play around Solitude. Because we're playing against the Soulherder deck. Yeah, that seems good. Okay, so I can go green mana here. Oh, I messed up. Yeah, I messed up. I needed to like get the bounce land there. I miscounted. Alright. Whoops, my bad. So I guess I'm just going to cast this Primeval Titan here. So now we get Valakut plus Stronghold. We can still haste. And I think I want to kill Wall of Blossoms, actually. Because I don't have lethal. Not just with this, at least. And this makes it so if they do untap, they can't get value. So here's white mana, red mana, haste. And I'm only going for haste, obviously, because I have another Pact in hand. Because it's very obvious my opponent has a Solitude here. But I'm forcing the issue on the Solitude right now, which puts my opponent in a little bit of a more awkward spot. And now next turn my opponent's going to need to have another Solitude, another white card, and another Ephemerate in order to not lose the game straight up. So that seems like a moderately tall ask, I would say. Icewind Quaddle. Alright, some respect for another Primeval Titan. 1, 2, opponent just packs it. Alright, so Soulherder is what we're up against. I think we want Tireless Trackers. We definitely want Cultivator Colossus, probably our best card in the matchup. And Dismember is kind of weird, but Engineered Explosives is fine, I think. Explosives on 3 is just absolutely devastating against them. We want to cut a bunch of Gracers because we're going to be playing a very long game here. Probably they're not playing Leyline Binding, if I had to guess. And they may have counter magic. I doubt it. I doubt that they have counter magic, but they may. So I think I'm cutting... I want to cut a land. I guess it's going to be a fetch land. Yeah, this is fine. Although I guess fetch land is good with Tireless Tracker, so let's cut a basic instead. Huh. Okay. This is a hand, I guess. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go turn 1 Reclaimer. Good old Cavern on Elf. Turn 1 green source into Hierarch. That's basically a dead draw. Expedition map doesn't really help us achieve anything. And yeah, just gonna go turn 1 Reclaimer. Turn 2, we're just probably gonna play a Saga on Sego. Basic Island. I don't think I'm playing around Force of Negation. Either Channeler. Bounce my Reclaimer. Yeah, that's fine. So here's a land. Here's an Amulet. Here's the Reclaimer you just bound. There's an argument for holding on to the Amulet there, but then that plays into Spell Pierce. So holding on to the Amulet means that it can't get destroyed by like Knight of Autumn or whatever. But then if they do have Knight of Autumn, they're destroying my Saga anyway. So like it also makes it awkward on next turn with the Amulet, so I can't go Amulet plus Dryad in the same turn. So I think playing out the Amulet is the correct line. Opponent 3 cards in hand. Their engine is not cooking just yet. I'll take 3. Meddling Mage. That's okay. I wonder if they name Dryad instead of Primeval Titan. I mean, I could technically cast. I guess that's not true. Can't cast a Primeval Titan here. Meddling Mage is rough. It's definitely an argument for bringing in the Dismembers, which I didn't bring in. So, Explosive still gets the job done, but more mana efficient, a little bit more awkward. So, the good thing is that if they do name Primeval Titan, we are still kind of fine. They do name Dryad. Okay? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So, that's what's up, huh? Okay. So let's play out Saga here. And what am I doing with this Reclaim? I think I'm getting Tolaria West. So because I'm getting Tolaria West, I can just play out this Expedition map here. Okay, opponent fetches on my end step for basic island. Gonna just play play Quaddle here. That doesn't scare me too much, if at all. But 3 cards in hand could potentially be a problem. So now if they have second Meddling Mage, they can name Primeval Titan, but that doesn't quite work against what I'm doing. So we take 3 here. That's fine. Glasspool Mimic. So that's gonna 100% name Primeval Titan. But then we just Cultivator. My opponent's hand was pretty strong, but it only somewhat lined up well against my hand. Yeah, so let's just get T-West here. Untap. Now we untap again. Float some mana. We're gonna sack this Saga with the trigger on the stack. And I think we just get a Growth Chamber. It's another card that we draw from Colossus. Okay, put in fetches. Scary. What can that be? Oh, they're playing around Pity Needle. That's cute. So here's a Growth Chamber, and we're gonna lose to Mana Leak. But that's okay. I guess I could also transmute for Explosives on 2, but like we can also do that after Colossus as well. Ephemerate, name... Oh, wow. Okay. They're gonna name Colossus here? That's kind of sick. Alright. I mean, this just means that I get to play out the Dryad and I just get to do something different instead. Like, that's a very smart play from my opponent. Definitely very, very smart play from my opponent. So now I can actually just play the Dryad. And I can just go... Play Dryad. Play Bounce Land. Float mana. Bounce. Transmute. For Engineered Explosives. Cast Engineered Explosives. And I think I want to crack these explosives right now. Just because otherwise they're going to be able to like blink the Glasspool Mimic and turn it into something else. And now we play a second Reclaimer. That was a neat play from my opponent. They're going to get to draw a card now with Channeler, but... So if they name... Now we have infinite mana thanks to Dryad plus Amulet. And, like, they're between a rock and a hard place, right? I have Expedition Map, so I can find either Valakut or I can find, what's his name? Tolera West, so I can go for Primeval Titan. Now I can just cast this Cultivator Colossus, so I think my opponent is a little bit too far behind at this point. So gonna float, mana, activate Reclaimer, cracking this Saga with the trigger on the stack, get another, I think we just get another Growth Chamber. We're just gonna get outrageous amounts of mana. Just absolutely baffling amounts of mana. Cycles Paras Headquarters, probably not gonna find an answer, I don't think. And we still have a Reclaimer activation, so we can sack this and go get T-West. Opponent has seen enough, and we are 3-1. Alright, let's play the last match, and we're playing against Keruga as a companion. That's scary. This hand is not good enough, though. This hand's better. Still not great. I guess I'm keeping this, and I'm just hoping that I find an Azusa or a Dryad on the way up there. I think I'm just gonna play out the Amulet here, and if my opponent wants to use a Leyline Binding on it, I think that's just fine. At least we know they can't Prismatic Ending. Okay, so opponent goes for Misty. Azusa would be my best draw. Growth Chamber just kind of doesn't do anything. So let's play out the Growth Chamber. What I could do is I could just Pact for Azusa just to develop my mana, but then I don't have a threat, and yeah, it's not super good, I don't think. I'm playing out the Bounce Land because I have multiples in hand already, and if my Amulet does indeed get answered, then I'd rather just have access to Dryad mana if I happen to draw a Dryad or whatever. Yeah, so here I think we play out the Forest because we may need the extra green source, the extra green mana. So now next turn I can Titan, right? So I Pact for Titan and I just play my land drop and then just use the green mana to graze her. Okay, so they play some Triumphs and stuff. What do you got, opponent? You've done nothing so far. Guess they continue to do nothing. Well, I guess I'm just gonna continue hitting land drops. Like, there's no need for me to do anything. My opponent isn't doing anything either. And the truth of the matter is I don't have that much stuff. So I can't really run this pact into like a hardcast Force of Negation or something like that. Like, I can't really do that kind of stuff. So because of that, I think I'd rather just do nothing and keep hitting land drops. Wait for my opponent to make a move. They ice my land on end step, which is just cycle. that's just what that is. Like, it doesn't do anything. Alright, here we go. They're doing something. 3 mana. For what? Recent Reef? Touch of the Spirit Realm. Okay. Kind of sucks a little bit because that's... Oh, they missed land drop. That's big. Okay, so now I can Dryad. So... And... I think I may actually just make a bunch of land drops here. So play Valakut. And I think I'm playing out Grazer now. Opponent can potentially kill my Dryad, but it's kind of fine. Next turn we're going to be able to Prime Time. We can't haste, but opponent is out there missing land drop, so... What do you got, OP? Another touch the Spirit Realm. I'm okay with that, because now I can get these whenever I want, thanks to Boseiju. Grazer is a blank, so let's Pact. We could go for Cultivator. That draws 2 cards. I think I'd rather just Prime Time. And I think that my plan is gonna be Tolera West for sure, and then I could get Boseiju or I could get Saga. I think I want to get Saga because this Bounce Land is already gonna be returning the Tolera West to my hand. So... just pay on upkeep, next turn transmute. Holding on to the Forest as opposed to playing out the Grazer in case I do draw Cultivator. Opponent did hit a land drop last turn, by the way. Solitude. Okay. Pitch into Fairy. I imagine they have another one of these to blink, or is this just... Yeah. So this is not ephemerate, which means that we can actually do something on my next turn if I want to. We'll see. We'll see if I want to. So here we pay for our upkeep, say yes. Summoner's Pact is a good pickup. So, I think I'm gonna transmute for another pact and then just make it constant. And again, I'm gonna hold on to this basic forest in case I want to go the Primeval Titan route, because next turn we're gonna do some considerable amount of things. Okay, so they kill my construct, which it's fine. Doesn't do anything at all, so that's fine. 3 mana. I'm probably gonna be finding Amulet with this Saga. They could play Teferi and bounce it. Okay, so it's just Fable. So they could have Leyline Binding over there, but that's fine. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I think I actually want to make it Construct. It's kind of free. So here's Amulet. Here's Summoner's Pact. Maybe they Leyline Binding my Amulet of Vigor. I could see that happening. Looks like they don't. So here's Primeval Titan. They may Binding the Amulet now, but if they do that, then they don't Binding my Prime Time, so that's also good for me. So now we did draw the Boseiju, meaning, I mean, kind of the world is our oyster, right? Because I do have the Boseiju, I think I'm going to go for Haste here. Yeah, let's go for Haste. Let's go for Hasting, because it forces the issue. Yeah, that's just bad timing from my opponent. Now we're just going to win. They should have waited until I activated Stronghold. So get that back, play that out, and bounce Sanctuary, Boseiju, your Leyline Binding. Would like to get my Primeval Titan back, please and thank you. You get a land, okay? You get a land. So don't go out there saying that I'm not a fair man, you know? You do get a land for this. I think I just want to go Growth Chamber Boseiju. This effectively guarantees that this Titan is going to connect. So now I can haste Prime Time. I think I want to play out the Gracer just so I have another... Just so I use my mana, basically. And now bounce this. Maybe I should have bounced that one. Who knows? I think that we are fast approaching garbage time anyway. Let's get Valakut Ursa Saga. And I know that I could have Boseiju the one on Dryad, but I'm pretty sure that this is just garbage. Okay, so they take 8. Now I can Boseiju this one. Get the Dryad in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then get Cultivator Colossus. So I'm just gonna send these to my opponent's face. Always yes, always yes, always yield. This is just lethal. How's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's 7 mana, conveniently. Play that one. Play that one. Play that one. That seems good enough, I guess. I guess that'll do. Alright, game number 2. So, Boseiju is great. Tireless Tracker, also pretty good. Cultivator Colossus, absolutely fantastic. I don't think Bujugabog does anything, so we can cut that one. I think we want these members for Omnath and Recent Reef. We can cut Gracers, some Gracers, I guess. And maybe 1 Saga, maybe 1 Cavernous Souls. Let's cut 1, yeah, 1 Cavernous Souls. Yeah, this seems good to me. Okay, what do we got? Keruga has been revealed, and we have... Okay, this is a functional hand. We got this member if my opponent tries to get out of hand. We have Tracker, which is great. Best draw would be potentially Reclaimer. Dryad. Okay, not going to complain about that draw. Opponent fetches for a Triumph, and now... So Leyline Binding still costs 2 for my opponent. They do have Dead Gone mana over there. Let's play a Forest and pass it. So I'm holding up this member here, and next turn my plan is to go Dryad plus Bounce Land, return Boseiju to hand. This looks pretty decent. Opponent fetches. Let's see what they plan on doing. Okay, so binding still costing 3. Am I dismembering this? I think so. I think I don't want my opponent to have access to free mana, so I think I'm actually gonna dismember this thing, which is awful, right? Because my opponent still keeps the Fable, but yeah, I think this is fine. So here's Dryad, play Growth Chamber, return Boseiju, pass it back. So now they're gonna have to answer this Dryad somehow. Even if they go something like Omnath, I don't care that much. Also, they don't have Recent Reef mana. I think they should have gotten some sort of shock land here. Discarding second Fable. Okay. Even if they do answer this Dryad, we still get to go Tracker into land. And then they can Dead Gone, but that's fine. Foundation Breaker. Okay. You got me. Man, that's a weird cyber card to be playing. You could be playing Force of Vigor, right? And instead you're playing Foundation Breaker. Ugh. Oh, this was bad. I should have held on to that. Because now I'm going to be bouncing this Forest. And now I'm entirely tapped out. As opposed to having access to a colorless mana, which would represent Dismember. So that was a little bit of a misstep there. So there comes a Reflection of Kiki. Opponent's got mana. They tap 3 mana? No. Okay, undo. I mean, they're gonna need to have like a Fire Ice or something to tap my bounce land, otherwise I'm gonna just cast Primeval Titan here. So there's Recent Reef, which is very scary. But so far we should be able to outgrind Recent Reef fairly easily. Because we're gonna have our good friend Primeval Titan here. Opponent's gonna get to draw an actual shit ton of cards though. So there comes Prime Time. Actually, there's an argument for just like playing out Dryad, and yeah, I think what I want to do is I'm gonna go Valakut plus Windswept Heath, and this guarantees at least 2 Valakut triggers, which is pretty nice. And I'm gonna send with this tracker. If my opponent wants to trade Reflection for this tracker, I think I'm all about that. All right, sweet. So Solitude would be a problem because they can go Solitude, copy Solitude. So main phase fetch. And my opponent's really protecting that life total, when in reality is not doing that much. 3 mana, 4 mana, what is this? 5 mana. Okay, so they do have Solitude. I imagine that's going to get rid of Prime Time. And they're copying. Okay, so that's actually good for me. Them copying there is good for me, because now if they have another one, like they can't answer my Dryad, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to... What if I packed for double... If I packed for a second Dryad and I just go Dryad... Oh, I can't do that because I have to pay for Pact. Never mind. So let's pay for Pact. Say yes. Here's a Dryad. Here's this. And I could go for lethal, but I guess that this can... No. This is close. If I go for lethal... Like if they have another Solitude, they blow me out. But I guess these triggers are not resolving, right? If they do have Solitude, so it's fine. Okay. So that just happened. So what I'm going to do here, which is going to be really, really awkward, but now that we did this, now that those triggers resolved, now I can just pact for Grazer and just use that this land drop, and if my opponent attempts to Solitude Dryad in response, I can just fetch for a basic forest. So this basically guarantees the kill. Okay, sweet. So we do get there. Awesome. 4-1. Oh man, there really is something special about playing Elvish Reclaimer, isn't it? This was a lot of fun. Funnily enough, we lost against what I consider to be a pretty good matchup, which is Hammer. But you know, Hammer is Hammer, and it's such a good deck because it can just kill you. You know, it can just outright kill you sometimes. But this league felt very good. Obviously, we dodged certain matchups that are the main problem for Amulet, right? Which would be Red-Black Scam and Blue-Red Murktide. Those are very, very popular right now. I think they're actually like the 2 most popular decks, and those are very challenging matchups for us. So when we dodge those, leagues are more likely to look like exactly what it looked right now. Definitely got lucky to win on turn 2 versus Yawgmoth, that's for sure. This list felt very decent. Radiant Fountain is an interesting card because like it feels like the cost is very, very low, but at the same time, I don't think if there are realistically that many matchups where you would want it, or if those matchups this is the card that's making the difference. So the upside is pretty decent, and the opportunity cost is rather low, but still, you know, like, would we rather have access to another dismember? Would we rather have access to like another endurance or tireless tracker or something like that? So really makes you think a little bit and try to figure out whether this is actually where we want to be. Besides that, the rest of the sideboard look pretty good. I feel like I would want every single one of these cards in my sideboard, with the exception of Relic of Progenitors. This is the only one that is like, I could use it or I could take it or leave it, basically. All of the other ones, I actively want at least this amount of copies in my sideboard. So 13 out of these 15 cards I'm happy with. Like, I would want these 13 cards to be in my sideboard right now. And then there's these 2 which are the flex slots, which you can kind of like do whatever you want with them. But Amulet feels good. Like, it's still always, you know, it's just so objectively and like in terms of raw power level, it's just so high that yeah, it's just always going to perform well if you know how to play it and if you get the correct pairings, of course. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this league. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We're really kicking off 2023 in the best possible way, which is with an 80% win rate. And thank you for watching. If you are interested in supporting the channel, you can just hit that like and subscribe button. That helps to leave a message down below in the comments. And if you are interested in supporting and using Mana Traders or TCG Player codes that you will find in the description of the video down below, that also helps the stream as well. And finally, if you would like to donate, you can do that. You can also support through Patreon, or you can book coaching sessions with me. All of those are available to you. Find the information you need in the description of the video down below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.